This morning, the state successfully executed death row inmate Leroy McGill at the state prison complex in Florence. The entire process lasting less than half an hour as McGill was put to death by lethal injection. Our Sean Rice was one of two media witnesses inside that room as he took his last breath. Sean, explain what you saw.
Yeah, Tram, good afternoon to you. The best way to describe the room was somber. There was maybe a dozen or more people inside this room. Attorney General Chris Mays, Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell inside. No family members of the victims were present inside, but we understand potentially some family members of Leroy McGill, who was put to death this morning, were inside this room. As you mentioned, this entire process went pretty quickly. It only took maybe less than half an hour. I entered the room at 9:58 a.m. and the time of death read aloud inside the room was 10:26. The entire process from the inserting of the IVs into Leroy McGill's veins to the injection itself appeared painless to me and ultimately went very smoothly. Let's catch you up to speed on how we got here. The video you're seeing is from back in July of 2002. That was just days after McGill set fire to a duplex in North Phoenix in the Sunny Slope area with multiple people inside it. Court records say McGill was living there and became enraged when his housemates accused he and his girlfriend of stealing a shotgun from them. He approached the duplex in the early morning hours of July 13th in the middle of the night and poured gasoline on Charles Perez and Nova Banta before throwing a match on that gasoline and lighting them both on fire. Perez would die at the hospital and Banta would survive with severe burn injuries to most of her body. McGill was convicted of first-degree murder in 2004 and was sentenced to death by a jury of his peers. After many appeals, McGill's execution date was set for today and was carried out this morning, really, as I mentioned, without issue. Now, according to the Department of Corrections, Leroy McGill's last meal was onion rings, bread with butter on it, chocolate cake, cottage pie, and green salad. His last words before the injection, before he was put to death, were, quote, "Thank you all for being so accommodating and nice. I'm going home soon," end quote. He also did have a priest pray over him minutes before this happened. The priest uttered a version of the Lord's Prayer and prayed over him. McGill, in response, the only thing he said was, quote, "Amen." Back to you, Tram.
Sean, I have a couple of questions. I mean, it's interesting he had a priest there saying what he said, his last words. I mean, what was his demeanor? Did he seem nervous at all, or was he just pretty calm throughout the whole process?
Yeah. He really didn't have any demeanor at all, Trem. You see him first enter through monitors that are above you. There's a black curtain that's in front of the glass panel that we were all sitting in front of. You see him approach from an overhead view. He gets on the gurney with no emotion. And from the time the curtains opened to the time they closed after the execution took place, he had no emotion. At one point, he did look over to us, nodded to each sort of person or each row that we were sitting in, but no emotion there at all. So, you never know how people are going to react to her in a position like he was, but certainly no emotion that I saw, Trim.
Regarding his family, in addition to the victim's family, you said his family was there right in the room. I'm wondering how they were. And also you said what was so interesting was the victim's family was not there. Was there a reason or what did you see?
There was no reason offered. The director of the Department of Corrections spoke before we all did as media witnesses, and he said that no victims' family members were in attendance. Didn't offer a reason why. He just said to respect their privacy moving forward. Throughout this process, I've tried to reach victims' family members, have been unable to reach any of them, from Charles Perez to Nova Banta, so that's important to note there as well. I suspect the people directly behind me and to my right, it was two women directly behind me, three men and a woman over my right shoulder, were Leroy McGill's family members. It's who he predominantly looked over at when the curtains opened. And so as this entire 20 or 30-minute process was taking place, the two women behind me were heard sobbing multiple times, and over my right shoulder you could hear some sobbing from the woman with the three men as well. So no doubt emotions running hard for them throughout this entire process as well.
And Sean, I know this is the first time that you have witnessed an execution. What struck you the most?
It's tough to say, Trim. I try to take these things in stride, not let them impact me too much. But what struck me the most is this is the only process I can think of where a person knows the date and exact time in which they will take their final breath. Not every state has the death penalty. Arizona is one that does. And so I can only imagine each time for not only the victim's family members, but Leroy McGill himself in the days and hours before this happened, what he was feeling. It didn't appear as though it was impacting him very much from what I saw with my own two eyes. So maybe this was something he was prepared for. But this is the only process I can think of in our land where somebody knows the exact date and time that they're going to take their final breath. That's what struck me the most, Trim.
Yeah. All right, Sean, thank you so much for your reporting. And I know you'll have more for us later on in our later show starting at 4. Thank you.